Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. In this top 10 list, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 personal favorite movies directed by Ron Howard. Yes, we all know Ron Howard's been an actor, like Happy Days and American Graffiti. He's a good actor, but he's made a lot of good movies directing-wise, and I thought I'd count down my top 10 personal favorite Ron Howard movies. And as always, before our top 10 list, you gotta give your honorable mentions. And my honorable mentions for Ron Howard's movies are Splash, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Ed TV, Angels and Demons, Willow, The Missing, and Backdraft. All great films, just couldn't make the top 10 list. But what did make my top 10 was my number 10, and that is Cinderella Man. Yes, Cinderella Man stars Renee Zellweger, Russell Crowe, and Paul Giamatti. And this is actually during the times of the Great Depression, and Russell Crowe plays a boxer. And I think this movie is based on true story or true events. I'm not quite sure, but this is a very good movie. I remember first watching this movie in my grade 10 history class, and I was blown away by it. I really liked it. I loved Russell Crowe in this movie. Renee Zellweger was but Paul Giamatti was amazing in this movie as his manager, and I like this movie a lot. I love the period piece where it takes place, and I love Russell Crowe's performance. I love Paul Giamatti's performance. The boxing scenes are really good. It's a good sports movie, and it's a good historical movie, and I learned a lot from it, and I do enjoy it. It's a good dramatic film about boxing, and yeah, I like Cinderella Man. It's a good movie. Coming number 9 is Cocoon. Yes, Cocoon is a great movie. Some people might think it's a little too sentimental. It is a little bit, but it's a really good movie about aliens and about immortality and everything. It's a great film. It's not, it's no Abyss. Like, I thought it'd be a lot like The Abyss and stuff. It's not. It's not like Close Encounters of the Abyss. And I know Ron Howard's trying to be like the next James Cameron or Steven Spielberg. He tried, and this is a good movie. The visuals are really good. The performances are very good. Top-notch performances in this movie. And it's a well-directed movie, and I do really like it. I can tell it was trying to be a lot like The Abyss, and it's not, but it's still a very good movie. Really good sci-fi movie. A lot of good comedy in it, too. And yeah, it's a good movie. I enjoy Cocoon. The sequel, on the other hand, not so much. This is good still. Coming number 8 is The Paper. Yes, I just watched this movie just a week ago because I heard some things about this movie, a lot of good things, and I'm like, what's The Paper? I thought I'd seen every Michael Keaton movie. Apparently not, and this is also a Ron Howard movie. Ron Howard directed this movie, and basically this entire movie is just one big story about just a day in a newspaper column, and some lost shit happens, and yeah, the movie is good solely based on its writing and its cast. The cast in this movie is huge. So many good actors in this movie. Michael Keaton, Randy Quaid, Marissa Tomei, Glenn Close, Jason Alexander. Just the cast in this movie is freaking huge. So big, and I adore this movie. I liked the comedy, I liked the drama, and I liked a story just about these reporters investigating the story, and it was really interesting, and Michael Keaton was just really good in this movie. One of my favorite Michael Keaton performances. Not my all-time favorite Michael Keaton performances, but he was really good in this movie, and I just liked it. I loved the writing in this movie. Is really good. These characters were very well-written characters, very fleshed-out characters, and it had some good comedic timing, and the dialogue was really witty, and also really powerful and very realistic. I really felt these characters were really real, and despite the over-the-top moments, there's some pretty silly moments in this movie, which kind of took me out of it, and that's the only problem I have with this movie. There's a few silly moments I'm like, that necessarily had to be in the movie, but it's a very good movie, very well directed by Ron Howard, and it's a very well written movie. I don't know who wrote the script for this movie, but they did a hell of a job, and I love Keaton, I love Glenn Close, I love Marissa Tomei in this movie, and also Jason Alexander, Randy Quaid, they're all good in it too, and I really like this movie. The Paper, very good movie, pretty underappreciated because I don't think a lot of people have seen this movie, but check it out, it's a very good movie, very good movie. Coming number 7 is Parenthood. Yes, this is actually one of my favorite Steve Martin movies, and basically the story is about a bunch of families. They're in their lives together, raising kids and everything, and that's it. Something that simple is that brilliant. It's so good. The comedy in this movie is really good. The issues they talk about in this movie are so real, and issues every family deals with, and I love it. That's why I love this movie. I can watch this movie over and over again, and I can relate to it. I can laugh at it. I can be moved by it, touched by it, and it has a lot of emotion and a lot of laughs in this movie, and just gets a lot out of me. And every time I watch this movie, I cry at times, and I laugh at times, and yeah, I just love it. This movie is so good. Steve Martin is very good in this movie. And Keanu Reeves is in this movie, and he's even good, and it's just a really good, meaningful story, and I really like it. I love what Ron Howard did with this movie, and I can see where he's going with it, and he succeeded 100%. Very good movie, good for the family. Coming number 6 is Apollo 13. Yes, Houston, we have a problem. Yes, Tom Hanks, Ed Harris, Kevin Bacon, David Morse, all in this movie, all great. The effects of this movie, very, very good. And the intensity of this movie, really, really solid. And it's about a bunch of astronauts in space, and basically the shit goes down. Like, their space shuttle is broken, they could suffocate and not breathe in space, they have to get their asses back to Earth, and oh my god, it's awesome. It's intense as shit, and this is a really good movie. If you love space movies, like you love movies about space and stuff, and it's not just a straight up science fiction movie, it's just a story about space and everything, and if you like movies about astronauts in space, you'll like this movie. If you don't like that kind of stuff, you won't like this movie, but I do like that kind of stuff, and I like this movie. Good job, Ron Howard. I like this movie. Coming number 5 is Rush. This is a pretty recent movie. This movie came out in 2013. This stars Daniel Brühl as Niki Lauda and Chris Hemsworth as James Hunt. And yes, this is based off a true story about the Formula One racers, Niki Lauda and James Hunt, and about the rivalry together. As I said before in a lot of videos, I love movies about rivalries. That's why I love like Heat, and I love Inside Man and The Prestige. I love cat and mouse games. I love stories about two people competing against each other. I love rivalry stories, and this is a real life rivalry story. James Hunt and Niki Lauda were real Formula One race car racers, and this movie was phenomenal. So freaking good. Daniel Brühl should have got an Oscar nomination for his performance because he was amazing as Niki Lauda. I love Chris Hemsworth in this movie as James Hunt too, and they were both so good in this movie. I hate Olivia Wilde. She was even good in this movie, and Ron Howard's direction was phenomenal. The racing sequences were really, really well done, and it was a very well shot movie. The cinematography of this movie was really good. The sound mixing was really good. The story was beautifully told, and I love this movie. I'm not all for racing movies. There's some really good racing movies. This is one of the best racing movies I've seen in so long, and yeah, if you haven't seen Rush yet, check it out. It's a brilliant movie with brilliant performances and amazing direction by Ron Howard. Such a good movie. It's a great movie. Coming number 4 is A Beautiful Mind. Yes, this is what finally got Ron Howard his Academy Award for directing and producing. So he directed and produced this movie, which is based off a true story about a real-life scientist who actually had paranoid schizophrenia, and it's a really sad story, and a very gripping story, too. Russell Crowe plays the lead character, and he's brilliant in this movie. He got an Oscar nomination. He didn't win. Jennifer Connelly actually won, and she was good in this movie. I thought who deserved the Oscar win was Russell Crowe. I know he got it a year before for Gladiator, which he deserved, but I think he should have got a second one in a row for this movie, because Russell Crowe is amazing in this movie. He is so good. You feel so bad for the guy, and you question his own beliefs, and you're like, oh my god, is he really a bad guy? Well, you know, he's not a bad guy. He's just really sick, and the way he solves his own illness is just brilliant. Russell Crowe is a very smart guy in this movie. That's why it's called A Beautiful Mind. He's a genius in this movie. And he's almost so smart, he's crazy. It's true what a lot of people say. Some smart people are the most craziest people. The smartest people in the world are the most craziest people because they're too smart for their own good. And Russell Crowe portrays this character amazingly well. And Ron Howard directed this movie beautifully. And also the performances by Christopher Plummer and Paul Bettany were also really top notch. And even Josh Lucas, he was good too. Really good movie, very tragic, very emotional, very sad, but very well told, and I love this movie. Russell Crowe did a bang-up job, so did Ron Howard directing. Love this movie. Coming number 3 is Frostixon, another pretty recent-ish kind of movie. When this movie came out in 2009, 2008 or something? Oh, I don't know, but yeah, great movie, starring Frank Langella as Richard Nixon, and Michael Sheen as, what was his name, Frost something? Yeah, Frost Nixon, hence the title. This is basically about the interview the Frost guy did with Richard Nixon, trying to out Richard Nixon for all the bad stuff Richard Nixon did. And again, another movie based off a true story, and another movie basically all dialogue. This movie is a lot about the dialogue between Richard Nixon and the guy Frost, and Michael Sheen and Frank Langella's performances were amazing, so freaking good. The conversations these two have with each other are just engaging and gripping to watch. And again, Ron Howard directed this movie really well. The writing for this movie was amazing. I was just so invested in this movie. I'm like, how's this movie gonna end? And it's very satisfying how this movie ends and how it comes to the climax. And this is a really good movie, a very good movie. If you're really not into like dialogue-filled movies, like I said with Glengarry Glen Ross, my Al Pacino video, it's not a movie for you. You have to love dialogue and really interesting topics. And yeah, they go into deep with politics and stuff. And if you're not into that kind of thing, this is not your kind of movie. But if you are into that kind of thing, this is most definitely your kind of movie. Coming number 2 is Night Shift. This is one of my favorite 80s comedies. A very underrated comedy with, starring Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton. Basically, the story of this movie is about two guys who work in the morgue, and basically they run their own whorehouse using the morgue. And this movie is so freaking funny. I love this movie. I love Henry Winkler, and I really love Michael Keaton. Movie, and the idea for this movie is just so batshit crazy, but it's just so good. This movie is hilarious. This movie always puts a smile on my face every time I watch it, and again, I love it. I love Michael Keaton, I love Henry Winkler, and I love Ron Howard, and I love how that he teamed up with Henry Winkler once again. Kind of like a Happy Days reunion or something, but yeah, I love this movie. A good comedy. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a good movie. Now, getting to my number 1, this is a movie, I bet you a lot of people didn't think it would be my number 1, but I love this movie. This movie is so good. It's one of my favorite thrillers of all time, and that is the movie Ransom. Yes, the movie Ransom starring Mel Gibson. I love this movie. I love the story of this movie. It's about these guys who kidnap his son, and basically they hold him for ransom. And basically, Mel Gibson knows these guys are not going to give back his son. He tries to negotiate with them, and the cops try to negotiate with them. There's no negotiating with these guys. These guys mean business. So what does Mel Gibson do? He tries to play them at their own game. So basically, all the money he was going to use to ransom to get his son back, he basically goes on television and announces live on television to all the bad people in America. Basically says, this money I'm supposed to give to the people who kidnapped my son, but instead I'm going to give this money to anyone who finds these people who took my son, and whoever kills them and brings my son back, I'll give this money to you. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's amazing. Like, I've never seen anyone do that in a movie, and my god, that's awesome. Yeah, Mel Gibson is a badass in this movie, and this movie is incredible. It's so thrilling, it's so engaging. Even though I do know how this movie's going to end, I'm so curious to see how they're going to get to that conclusion, how they're going to get to that ending, and it's really good, this movie. It's well written, well directed. Mel Gibson's awesome. It shows the realism of a husband and wife and how they're dealing with when their sons get kidnapped, and it's very realistic, this movie. It's very thrilling, one of my favorite thrillers of all time. This is my favorite Ron Howard movie. It's probably not a lot of people's favorite Ron Howard movie, but it's my favorite. I love this movie. Every time I watch it, I always have to watch it. Anytime it's on TV or anything, I always have to watch this movie because I love this movie. It's so good. Love the movie Ransom. It's my favorite Ron Howard movie, and I just can't get enough of it. It's a great movie. So yeah, that was my top 10 personal favorite Ron Howard movies. So yeah, please comment below, give me your top 10 favorite movies Ron Howard has directed. Comment below, let me know, I'm curious to know. And as always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.